Hi, I'm Sarah and this is my brother Ismail. He's working as an investigation officer at the Ministry of Manpower.
So, Sarah, tell me, what do you think I do as an investigation officer?
What I see you do is sit in front of a computer all day, but what I think investigators tend to do would be a lot of interrogations, a lot of field work.
You're not entirely off the mark. So specifically, I investigate employers who may have discriminatory practices in their hiring processes. I actually have a video to show you on what a day in my life looks like typically.
Actually in the beginning, I saw like this kind of like board.
Oh,
In the beginning, yeah.
yes, I understand that the depictions in Hollywood often like to show that investigators have this spider web of information and facts. But the board you saw right there actually is our team bulletin board. Not as exciting, definitely.
Why are you looking at job ads?
So the job ads is a company's way of sourcing for candidates. It is normally the start of every recruitment process. In the tripartite guideline for fair employment practices, there are certain discriminatory requirements that should not appear in a job ad, such as age, gender, or even race and religion. Hello. Hi, Mr. Frankie Tan. This is Ismail, calling from the Ministry of Manpower, Senior Investigation Officer. Yes, this will be regards to the investigation on your company.
What happens if the job requires a person to speak a specific language or a specific dialect?
We want to ensure that it is not a requirement that was put there for very superficial reasons. We ensure that the duties of the role require that level of fluency because strictly speaking, language fluency can also constitute a skill in itself, which some people may have and some people may not. Okay, I'll see you then, Mr. Frankie. Alright, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, Mr. Frankie Tan, thank you for coming. Come have a seat. So, Mr. Frankie Tan, can you tell me about your role in the company?
Is this one of the examples of when you interrogate someone?
This is actually an instance where we are conducting a statement recording session. That's about it. Do you all of this alone, Mr. Frankie Tan?
No. So,
Why was it necessary to ask that question?
Are there more people involved in the case? Was he acting alone? I think these are all considerations that we make towards a case as well.
Then do you interview or take statement records from multiple people or just one?
I will have to take as many statements as I would require to get a full picture of the case. We actually received a complaint on one of the recruitment ads that your company has posted. I see that there is a specification that you were looking for candidates aged between 20 to 35 years old. Are you aware that this is actually a breach of the Fair Employment Guidelines? Can you explain to me why you posted such a requirement?
Is that a nervous tick?
As to what constitutes a nervous tick differs from person to person. With experience, we learn to pick up on whether someone is feeling anxious, guilty, or even evasive. Sometimes it's trying to understand what is the employer really worried about that's causing him to react this way.
I think naturally when you get interrogated, people tend to get very aggressive. So how do you deal with all these aggressive interviewees?
There's a lot of empathy involved in the job, especially when it comes to something as unpredictable as a statement recording session. It is definitely not our intention to come across as harsh or to even come across as if we are finding fault with companies. What we want to establish at the end of the day is the truth. So, Mr. Frankie Tan, is everyone below 35?
no. I'm above 35. Right, there are many others who are above 35. It's just for this one, just happened this way.
Can you elaborate a bit more about what you mean when you say it just happened this way? When the employers use phrases like it just happened that way, we want to know what exactly happened that resulted in the breach.
What happens if they say they're ignorant of the rules?
So we do not accept that when a person claims to say, oh, I didn't know that this was wrong. Because when you are running a business, you are expected to understand the laws and regulations.
Then what happens if the director or their boss tells them to like, hey, can you say this common story?
What do we do with companies that actually try to create a particular narrative, which is why actually when we investigate a case, we investigate it thoroughly, we rely a lot on evidence. If it is eventually found that a company intentionally wanted to mislead MOM by giving us wrong facts, there would be even more severe penalties on the company because it is considered an offence. These were some of the candidates that actually applied for your job. So Mr. Danny here, he's actually aged 42 years old and he has spent 20 years in digital marketing. Miss Juliana, she actually has about 10 years marketing products over social media platforms. These are all people over 35. Do you feel like it was actually fair for you to suggest that these people are less tech savvy and hence should not be considered for the job?
Do you have a series of questions that you have to ask?
I think that's one of the more exciting bits about this particular activity in the job. There is no clear template on what you need to ask. This depends on your own instincts as an investigation officer. Even the kind of responses that you get and may have to develop will change based on the person that you are taking a statement from in the first place. Sometimes we also have to remember that we may entertain certain stereotypes ourselves about certain things. It does not mean that a person over 35 years old is not tech savvy. What we should be looking for when we look at candidates is their skills and their skills alone. Can they do the job? Do they have the skills to do the job? Their age, their gender, their nationality should not matter in such cases. So as I showed you in the examples earlier, if a person is qualified for the role, he or she should be given a fair chance to be considered for the role. So that is really the principle of fair employment here in Singapore. We will eventually inform the company, both by letter and by phone call, of the outcome that has been issued to the company.
So do you feel this sense of fulfillment with this job?
Definitely, actually. Every time I close a case, you feel this sense that that is now going to be one less company that has discriminatory hiring practices. And slowly, I am happy to see that more and more companies are aware and ensuring that they have best practices in their company when it comes to fairness.
Why do you think it's important to enforce all these fair employment practices?
Every worker here in Singapore has aspirations. They have hopes and dreams, and it is important that we create a business environment here in Singapore that allows them to realize these dreams. I don't want to see people who end up feeling disadvantaged because of things that were beyond their control. And I want to make sure that the efforts I put in to creating fair workplaces here in Singapore will benefit more than just me and you. It will benefit everyone.
This is my brother Ismail. He's a senior investigation officer and he protects workers by ensuring that companies do not engage in unfair hiring practices. Correct?
Correct. After 50 takes, we are correct.